talking to the former IEC chairperson, Judge Johann Kriegler. Now, he was at the helm of the IEC during the 1994 elections. Judge, I can only imagine, I mean, you spoke to us a little bit about the logistics. I mean, trying to get IDs and voter cards to a population that didn't have IDs and all of those things in place already. What about political parties? Did they trust the IEC? Because I can imagine winning the trust of political parties to ensure that it's a free and fair election was also a big task.
Oh, yeah. And there are basically two things you have to establish as an electoral administration that I've learned in the years since. Didn't know it then, started learning it. Number one, you have to be accepted by the political parties as trustworthy, as honest, as impartial. That's number one, and that's an absolute essential. Number two, you have to earn the confidence of the political role players in your competence. That we could not do. We simply could not satisfy the electorate and its political leaders that we were sufficiently competent to run this very complex exercise. But the political parties were prepared to go along with us. They were prepared to put up with deficiencies in our administration. The main contribution that the IEC of 1994 made to world experience in elections is that it established that with cooperation of political parties, you can surmount insurmountable obstacles. We had the peace committees on which to build. We had during 1992-93, a build-up of discussion, debate, meeting between political opponents who had become political competitors. We established a network of liaison committees, all the way from national level down to voting station level, in which the IEC consulted with the political parties on every significant decision that had to be taken. So that at the end, if a decision turned out to have been disastrous, we were all responsible for it. We couldn't have finger pointing, and we couldn't have people objecting to the result on the basis of why did you pick this printer or why did you put the polling station there. So it was the inclusivity from the beginning that we managed to establish that carried our elections through.
The evolution of the IEC and having a look at the IEC in its current form, the way it is. I mean, it's been hailed around the world. It's been used as, I suppose, a litmus test for a lot of other countries that are running their elections. We've also helped out a lot. But as it stands right now, where unfortunately there's allegations against the head of the IEC, I don't want to talk about the allegations, but I just want to talk about the confidence in the South African public in the IEC. Will this hamper it? Do you think that perhaps South Africans are not feeling as comfortable as they had in previous years, where the IEC had a clean bill of health?
I think the IEC still has a clean bill of health. The allegations against the chair date from several years ago and have got absolutely nothing to do with the administration of this election. It's an apolitical set of allegations. I don't believe that there is any basis for the electorate to have any doubt about the integrity and the competence of the IEC today. They can run a good election, and they are going to run a good election. It's a great pity that we have this cloud hanging over the chair. It would have been much better if it had never arisen, or if it had arisen, it had been resolved long ago. But it's a reality. The Election Commission is competent to do its job, and it's going to do it well.
Well, that's comforting, because I think a lot of South Africans do need to hear that, and we need to know that the IEC is still that deciding body that we've had so many good elections through and so much faith in. I want to go back to 1994. After you had gone and cast your vote, and after all was said and done with the planning, how did you feel at that time?
Exhausted. Exhausted and relieved. You know, we'd been going on 1 or 2 hours of sleep a night for several weeks, taking cat naps during the day when you could. Particularly after voting had started going awry on the East Rand, and it turned out that some places had too many ballot papers and other places had too few. Some places didn't get the IFP stickers that had to go on the ballot papers. Yeah. Some places the staff just didn't arrive until 9 o'clock. That kind of nightmare kept one running on adrenaline for days on end.
Yeah.
And when we got to the end of it, we said, these are the results. We are satisfied that these elections were substantially free and fair. Goodbye. I slept for 36 hours.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure nobody could wake you up. Johann, my technical director, who was there, he was covering these elections. In fact, he was directing at the time when Mandela voted, and there was that one vote he cast inside the hall, and then he walked outside in KZN to do the other one.
The show business one.
The provincial vote. But he's also reminiscing with me and telling me stories that there were some polling stations that actually ran out of ink, and they had to start making it with water and whatever they could just so people could do this.
Leanne, there were some places that ran out of ink and they didn't mix it with water.
Yeah?
They used water instead.
They used water?
The ink was invisible ink. It was only visible under ultraviolet.
Okay.
So if you run out of ink way out in the bundu, what do? You put water on the finger.
Wow.
How many ultraviolet lamps are there in Thohoyandou?
Not many. Not many at all.
We certainly supplemented the ink. We manufactured a great deal in addition and distributed a lot of it at the last minute. But there were places where we couldn't reach, and the instruction was use water.
Wow.
Hold thumbs, nobody will find out.
Yeah.
Other places, the ultraviolet lamp broke down. You know, you had to put your finger under the light.
It well, and it would show that
it would
stripe.
show up.
Yeah.
Some places, those little ultraviolet lamps had broken.
Yeah.
The bulb had gone, the electricity had gone. Many of them were battery charged, run because they were in areas where there wasn't electricity, and they just didn't function. And the instruction was, don't close the polling station. Don't tell the people that they can't vote. Let them put their hand under the box. You look and you nod sagely. So carry on. Because it's a question of confidence. It's a question of is the process, does it look fair?
Yes, and that's why it worked.
And to this day, nobody has come forward to prove that one person voted twice in that election.
Wow. Oh, well, that's a good thing.
If
even though their water dried up.
If you waited 6-7 hours in the sun, you're not likely to go back again.
No, you're not. Is that not the most lovely, lovely interview? It really is. John